exponential growth.
Right.
Literally right after I figured out, like, wait a minute, I don't have to do all this myself. I need to find other people.
I don't have to find the deal. I don't have to negotiate the deal. I don't have to come up with the majority of the capital. Let's say, guys, I have a securities attorney on my YouTube channel today. Oh my gosh, I'm so afraid. Actually, I've sent this woman multiple checks because I love working with her. I love working with her firm. I love everything that they're doing. Today, we're going to talk about two major things. Number one, who is Bethany LaFlam and what does she do? And I think we got to talk about how she's changing the game with raising capital. If I could go back and learn one thing before I learned creative finance, wholesale, fix and flip, I would learn how to raise private capital. Yeah. Why do you think raising private capital is so important to getting into real estate, scaling, buying businesses, et cetera?
It is a really, I won't say easy, but it's a really good way, effective way to leverage beyond your own bank account, leverage beyond your own credit, leverage beyond your own means, and still be able to do deals, which is why I really love syndication, because you get to leverage OPM, other people's money.
Why do we have to use such scary words? Syndication seems like such a daunting word. Is that just another way of saying raising capital, bringing your friends together, investing in a deal together?
Yeah, that is.
But we have to use scary words, I guess.
Well, you know what's really funny, actually? I was not always in real estate. I actually used to do raises for venture capital and whatever, and they don't use syndication. Syndication is actually pretty specific to real estate. So really? I think maybe we wanted to make it seem more sophisticated.
So how would you describe the difference between a syndication and a fund? I think a lot of people don't know the difference.
You're right, they don't. So a syndication, I mean, they're both under the same rules, right? Same securities rules, same disclosures, all of that. Syndication is typically where you've identified a single asset and you're letting the investors know, hey, I found this dirt, I'm going to buy it, and here's all the information.
Here's the address. Yeah. Here's the numbers on this specific piece of real estate. I'm going to raise money for only this piece of real estate.
Right. And so investors get to take a look at that. They get comfortable with that. Hopefully they are also comfortable with you as an operator. And then you go raise the money to close on that property. A fund is where you can actually go beyond just one asset. You may have identified an asset, but you may not have identified anything yet. Well, we call that a blind pool fund. So you actually are selling your ability to find good deals and your ability to manage good deals to your investors versus the performance of a specific property.
So you're basically saying this piece of land, we're going to try and find something like it.
Yes.
And we're going to find multiple assets maybe like it. And we're going to raise your money preemptively before we need it so that the money's sitting there so that when we do get something under contract, we can deploy the capital quicker, faster, more efficiently.
Correct. So the investors are investing in you.
Okay, so why are people so afraid of securities attorneys, though?
You know, I don't know. And we make jokes about the bills or whatever. We've actually very specifically, we bill on a flat fee so that our clients are not afraid to call us and ask us questions, that they're getting billed every single time when it's a deal that we can kind of predict the outcome. If it's a really complicated deal, obviously it's, you know, some of the stuff you're doing is a lot more sophisticated than what a lot of our other clients are doing. But for the most part, we work on a flat fee because we want you to be able to put it in the underwriting. We want you to be able to plan for what it is. So why other attorneys are scary, I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of attorneys don't really speak English.
I agree.
So it's tough, or they don't understand your business. And one of the things that we really pride ourselves on is I want to understand your goals. The first thing, when you come to PLG, the first thing you get actually is a coaching call.
Dang.
You get a coaching call because we want to know what are your goals for your business.
Okay, so I remember my coaching call, but here, you know, I make jokes about the invoice, but I think that people that are brand new in the business are like, oh my gosh, I'm not ready for a securities attorney. But if you look at every big successful real estate investor, AJ Osborne, Britt, Tarek, all these people that are here at this event that we're speaking at, every single one of them has the same things on their P&L, profit and loss. You have utilities, you have building rent, you have payroll, you have all these things. And guess what else you have? Every single successful investor has a monthly, quarterly, or yearly expense for securities attorneys. It's a requirement. So I look at it and go, guys, just like turning on the lights is needed, just like having an internet bill is needed, you should very quickly seek out a securities attorney to become friends with. I'm actually friends with Bethany. I love her. I get excited about seeing her at events. She's amazing. And we can joke around and have fun. I think when I first started, I had this weird thought like, oh my gosh, it's a securities attorney. Do you ever get that with new investors?
A lot, yeah. I get that a lot. And people are afraid to ask me questions. Or I had somebody just yesterday after I spoke was like, I don't really want to bother you. I just have a quick question. I'm like, that's literally why I'm here.
Isn't that so funny? It's because you're called a securities attorney that they're scared. So, or an attorney, or a lawyer, just the bare minimum. It's daunting and scary. But going back to the person that's here for the first time, what do you think is the best way for somebody to go and raise capital that's never raised capital before?
I actually agree with your advice on this, which is to invest as an LP or a passive investor in somebody else's deal and learn the ropes first and learn from the people that are already doing what you want to do.
What do you think you would learn as an LP? Forget about like the deal itself, but what would you, if you're maybe looking for something to invest in, you're probably going to learn a certain thing. If you invest as an LP, how you're communicated to, you'll probably learn some things. What are some things you'll learn as an LP as your first round goes that would help you raise it capital in the future?
Well, hopefully before you invest in a deal, you are doing diligence on the operators, right? You're digging into their background, making sure that they've actually done a deal before, making sure that you're comfortable with their level of risk, making sure you're comfortable with their investment philosophies. And you should do that same level of diligence on your own partners, right? So you've already done that once before. You're going to put $100,000 or more into a deal. Then you want to know who you're investing in. Right.
I think people that are probably hearing this for the first time, I want you to keep expanding, but they might think $100,000. I have to have $100,000 to invest. Couldn't they find something that's like a Reg CF or a Reg A plus that they could go out and invest maybe $1,000 or $5,000 or $10,000 into?
Absolutely. My first passive investment was actually only $5,000.
What was it?
It was a commercial mixed-use property of a client of mine. I don't know even how long ago it was now, but I had only ever done tech stuff, so I hadn't invested in real estate yet.
So you had to do your due diligence.
So I had to do my diligence. Now it's easy because I get to see hundreds of deals a year, right? And I'm doing I get to see all the risks because I'm the one writing them all up. So I got to see all the risks, and I got to know the operator. And
think about how awesome that is, though. You go in as an LP into somebody else's deal. The stress of, oh my gosh, this is my $5,000. The questions I'm asking actually impact what this $5,000 is going to, whether it's going to grow or it's going to be lost. Who I'm going to give it to is going to make a difference as well. What they're doing, how long they've been in business, all of those questions you're going to ask way more intently because it's your money, right? Now, what else do you think you could learn being an LP in somebody else's deal?
Well, you get to see the process of how the raise goes, right? So you see, oh my gosh, what is a PPM? What are all these documents that I'm looking at right now? A lot of people don't even know you have to do that. I can't tell you how many times I've spoken to a room of people and explained what a security is and what you have to do, and have people just go white. Like, oh, I've been selling securities and didn't even know. Which is why people ask me all the time, like, why do you give all this advice away for free? And it's because we all do better if everybody's educated. They're not going to go write their own PPM just because I told them they need one. Right. So I'm not going to talk myself out of a job by making sure that people are educated.
I think a PPM is probably the worst thing you could probably write yourself.
This is why I'm actually waiting for AI to take over my job. People ask me if I'm afraid of that, and I'm like, no, I'm welcoming. I'm waiting for the day.
What is a PPM for people that don't know?
A private placement memorandum is really just kind of a scary document that talks about all the risks associated with the deal that you're about to invest in.
It's intentionally scary for some reason. Why?
It's intentionally scary because actually you're required under the law, when you are operating a deal, to disclose to investors all of the risks of them putting their money and then relying on you to operate the deal, because they're going to be passive. Right, so they're relying on you to tell them what could go wrong.
Does the PPM maybe give some insight into who the operator is, their background, et cetera?
It usually attaches I call it a business plan. People kind of panic when I say that. It's really a pitch deck, right? It's pretty slides. We always require that the sponsors or the team that are operating the deal, that they put bios in there. Like, why are you relevant to this deal? Why are you taking a piece of this deal? What background do you have?
You know what I loved about working with you guys is that we didn't have to figure those things out. You guys coached us through it. You guys really are more coaches than attorneys, to be honest.
Really, yeah. Because I mean, you could go get a PPM off the internet, but you don't
You
do
could
that.
call don't do that. But I'm saying where my grimace came from is like, you guys should just call yourselves security coaches. Like, you coached me through the deal. You were like, well, this is what other people are doing. This is how they're doing it. And, based on what you told me, I think this is a better structure for you because blah, 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 blah. Does that sound correct? It wasn't like you go, all right, we're going to write your PPM for you. Tell us fill in all these blanks. You didn't do that to me. You got on the phone with my team. You got on Zooms with my team. My team adores you. Now I'm looking back at it. I go, I don't really feel like you were an attorney. Obviously you did, task as an attorney, but I felt like you were more of a coach.
But not all attorneys are like that.
No.
And so that's when people get scared of attorneys. It's because they're not really getting to know your business, right? It's better for all of us if we understand what it is you want, because securities laws are kind of scary for us too, by the way, right? If we screw up, we could go down with you. And that's why a lot of attorneys are so kind of strict on, you got to follow these rules. And so it is better for all of us if I understand your deal. because then I'm going to know, wait a minute, you didn't actually say this. Should we disclose this? And I also want people to feel like they can talk to me and trust me. So they tell me all the bad stuff too.
I love it.
Because I
Okay.
can help everybody better if I know everything.
So I invest as an LP in somebody else's deal. Let's say hypothetically, I invest $1,000 or $5,000 into somebody's multifamily Reg A. I know Grant Cardone does Reg A plus. I have a Reg CF, so people can invest $1,000 into what I'm doing. They're going to see how they're treated, the customer support. They're going to see the portal. They're going to see maybe, do I send them a gift? Do I send them a video? They're going to see all the customer service related things and the culture related things on top of what a PPM looks like. And the questions that get asked, they're going to get onto Zooms with the operator, probably quarterly or once a year, depending on the operator, and hear how the deal they invested in is evolving, et cetera, so that when they do ultimately take that next step, which is where my next question is, they do take that next step, they're armed and ready to be a better capital raiser because of what they went through is exactly what their investor partners will ultimately go through as well.
Exactly.
My next question is, after I am an LP, I garner this information. What do you think is a good next step for somebody to go raise their first chunk of money?
Figure out your lane. Figure out what it is you're amazing at, what it is you love to do. Get honest with yourself, because entrepreneurs, we tend to want to do everything ourselves, right? And
You don't say.
Yeah, and it sucks because your quality of life sucks, but it's also dangerous, legally speaking. It's dangerous because you're dabbling in a bunch of things that maybe you're not that good at, right?
Is there a good example there? Like, you wouldn't go raise capital for RV storage if I have never done an RV storage deal. Is that what you're saying?
Well, that, and also maybe you're really good at diligence and you're really good at underwriting, but you're not a property manager, or an asset manager, right? You're not, after the deal is done, you're kind of like, okay, I got you here. No, I'm sort of out of it, right? You've got to be honest about what you're going to be good at, because the truth is that if we don't love it and we're not good at it, we should find somebody else to help us do it. That's the safest way to do it. That's the best way to grow your wealth exponentially, is to stay in your lane. Figure out what your lane is and stay in it. So the very first thing I always tell people is figure out what it is you want to be doing and do only that.
Isn't that funny that we have to be taught that in our 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s? Because we are taught the exact opposite in school and from our parents. Like, don't cheat off other people's homework. Do your own damn homework. You're cheating, you're cheating, you're cheating, you're cheating. Then you realize that all the multi-millionaires and billionaires, that's all they do is cheat off of each other.
Yeah,
but it's
they
a
all
positive
agree,
thing.
so it's fine. This is actually there's a section of my book just on this. There is, I know, it's like you read it. Not yet. It's not out yet. However, that's exactly right. Is as long as everybody agrees to share, then we're good. Don't steal information. Okay, fine. But you can leverage, you can collaborate. You should do those things because you're going to be good at, I hate to tell you this, but I'm not good at everything. I'm really not. And you aren't good at everything.
I'm good at one thing, finding people that are good at their thing.
See, and I actually almost panicked when I realized I have to outsource and find all my other people.
Me
because
too.
I'm not good at it.
I remember the words in my head from my father would ring in my head. If you're going to get something done right, you got to do it yourself.
Yes, I've heard that a million
Anybody
times.
in here?
So worst
Everybody?
advice,
Anybody?
Worst
Anybody?
advice, worst advice you can have. That's dangerous.
It's the worst. And shout out to my dad. He'll never watch this video. 65 years old, still cranking out, doing everything himself.
Yeah.
And my mom is wondering, when are you going to take me on that trip? When are you going to retire? When are you going to take me around the country like you promised when we got married? When are you going to do these things? And my dad's just like, I just got to get a little bit ahead.
Right. And
That's
there's
the
always
answer.
one more thing to do, right? That's
that
the
scary?
trap we fall into is I'll enjoy my life when, right? And I was in the same thing, right? It took me I paid a lot of money for coaches and masterminds and, just to get my own mind out of my way, right? To be able to expand. And then the minute I did, exponential growth.
Right.
Literally right after I figured out, like, wait a minute, I don't have to do all this myself. I need to find other people. And I really just had to find one other people, which is my integrator, Susie.
Has Susie ever had a face that didn't have a smile on it?
No. Even if she's telling me things that maybe she knows I don't want to hear, it's with a smile.
It's amazing. It's a great smile.
With a smile. She said, can I give you some constructive feedback? Would that be okay?
Oh, that's so good. Wow. Okay, so you guys are working on something really powerful. We'll get to that in a minute. But what are your thoughts on, I invest as an LP, I figure out what I'm good at, what's my lane. What are your thoughts on doing a fund of funds?
Definitely pick your other people wisely. if
Okay,
you're gonna do a
meaning
fund of
what?
funds. So build your team, do your diligence on your team. Even if you're doing a fund of funds, yes, you're now capital raising for other deals. So a fund of funds, let's just explain what that is real quick, right? So a fund of funds is when you're raising capital to invest in other operators' deals. You're not the operator. You're going to invest in other operators' deals. Now, there could be some deals where you partner with that person as a co-sponsor, but for the most part, if it's a fund of funds, your fund of funds can go in as a passive investor into other operators' deals. So now your job, instead of finding good properties, is to just find good operators.
I think it's even better than that, and you'll agree with this, is that, and I learned a lot of this stuff from you, is I don't have to find the deal. I don't have to negotiate the deal. I don't have to come up with the majority of the capital. Let's say Wes right here in our audience has got a $20 million deal he has to raise $7 million for. Well, that's stressful for somebody who's never raised $7 million, let alone $700,000, right? So I go to Wes and I go, Wes, instead of you having to raise the $7 million, how about you let me raise $500,000 and he's still responsible for raising the other 6.5. And if I only raise 400 of my 500, the deal still gets done. The deal's not contingent upon me. So I get to practice on your deal, your credibility, your team, your backbone, all your experience, and then you're going to manage the deal. I just was able to practice. Basically, the real work I put in was raising the capital and bringing it to somebody else's deal. So what you're talking about is choosing a good operator.
It is. So there's a little more to it than just raising the capital. So a couple pieces of advice if you're going to do a fund of funds. One is you actually are doing work. You're doing diligence on the operator now instead of the property. So you are actually working for your investors, not for this operator, which means any money you make comes from your investors for the value that you add to them, not the operator. So they still can't pay you a fee. That's still a broker-dealer activity. So you would make your money by taking a management fee or a promote, some sort of profit piece of the fund of funds.
A promote means I raise $1 million, I can take a 2% promotion fee, which means I could make 20 grand by raising $1 million.
No, actually, you can take a 2% management fee. Usually the management fee is going to be actually reflective of income. You can take a percentage of the profit that comes into the deal. And the way that would work best is because now you're going to be a bigger check writer for this operator than if these individual people go in. So you actually can probably negotiate a better return.
That's what I did on my first fund of funds is I negotiated a better return because I was bringing a chunk of investors to the table.
Right. And so now you've got some room to take a fee at that without the investors taking a lower cut than if they had gone direct into the deal. Now, a couple of the things that you're providing benefit of. A $10,000, $20,000 investor might not be able to get into that deal on their own. Right. And I usually advise if you're going to do a fund of funds, actually don't do it for a single operator, do it for multiple operators. Do it all at once because then it's going to be less likely to look like disguised commission from that one operator. So when I structure them, I'm like, just if you're going to do it, then raise for multiple and go find good operators. You're already doing the work. You're already setting up the infrastructure, having a fund of funds.
I'm going to give everybody a hack right now. You're watching this. You're taking notes. Bethany's awesome. Make sure you follow her on Instagram. She's got a book coming out, all of those things. Great. Here's the hack. Go to their company and figure out what is it going to take for me to go do a fund of funds. Go find operators, not just the social media operators, but go find operators that are not just on social media. Do your due diligence. You guys actually have checklists. You guys have things that you coach people through. You guys show people how to go do a fund of funds. Even the way I made my money out of fund of funds. I don't think I'll ever do a fund of funds ever again. I think I've graduated from that. But you coached me through all of that. And so for people that are wondering, how do I do a fund of funds and where can I find out more? I'm going to tell you right now, there's very little about fund of funds in books, seminars, or YouTube. It is so not common. And so when I learned what it was, I was like, why is not everybody talking about this? This is the greatest hack of all time, is it gets your feet into the water instead of just like going, why? There's this party and I want to jump in the pool and I want to be part of the cool kids, but I don't have my swimming shorts on. It's like fund of funds gives you the swimming shorts so you can get in the freaking pool. And it got me in the game and it gave me all the confidence. And I appreciated that so much of you guys coaching me through it. The hack is just go to them and say, how do I do fund of funds? Walk me through it and hire them. What's that look like to engage with you guys? The first step.
Well, the first step is we'll get on a call just to find out what's relevant. Like the coaching call is free. That's part of deciding, right? I said that right? She's like, yeah, it's free because we
Legit?
need to know. Yeah.
Like at the end of the call, you're not gonna be like, all right, that was $5,000.
No. It's at the end of the call, we're going to say, this is what we think is right for you to do. going based on what your goals are, right? And so we put them into a package. We call it a package because it's flat fee, usually, not always, but usually it's flat fee. And we need to know, though, what you're trying to do before we can tell you how much it's going to be or how long it's going to take or what's even right. Some people might say, well, I don't think I want to deal with all that. After the end of the call, they might be like, I just want to do one property first and figure this out.
Makes sense.
And okay, well then you shouldn't pay for a fund because that costs more.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you guys have a YouTube channel?
Yes, I do. Bethany LaFlam, and also
I know you do. Does your team do?
Do we have Mauricio? My partner Mauricio.
Mauricio's great,
and his YouTube channel is fantastic.
He's a silver fox for all you ladies out there. Like that dude is
very happily married, Heidi.
Yes, Heidi. Shout out Heidi. You got yourself a silver fox. That dude's handsome. Okay, so you guys have a YouTube channel. I'm just thinking like how cool it would be if you had permission from a client, maybe Kevin Cho or Jake Villaret or John here, gives you a call and says, I give you permission to take this first introductory call and tell me all the things I need to know about fund of funds and go put it on YouTube. Oh my gosh, you know how many freaking people would watch that video and like would you guys want to see what that call looked like? Tell Marie, you guys should put one of those calls out. You guys should be dominating the world of fund of funds because I think that should be people's second step in going and starting their own fund.
I don't have to even look to know that Susie's like, I've been telling you.
Susie, how good that would be good content, right?
She already told us we should do this.
Guys, in the comments down below, say Susie, come on.
Susie told you.
Susie, what's your Instagram?
Susie Murtha.
Susie Martha.
Murtha, Murtha.
Susie Murtha Smiles on Instagram. Okay, just Susie.
But the PLG does have Instagram, which Susie came up with the name. It's Your Rich Best Friend. I
love it. Your Rich Best Friend. Go look at that on Instagram. Now, final question. Bethany, you're awesome. I love hanging out with you, but you're a world changer. I think your guys' team is going to do something really special, something that my team and my fund needs. What are you guys actively working on right now?
We are building this amazing platform that is powered by AI and sits on the blockchain so that when people want to expand, first of all, we wanted to create this playground for LPs and GPs to get together on the platform where everything's all in one place. Your CRM is there, your investor portal is there. And how we're starting that off is AI because AI is sexy and fun and exciting and that's the thing everybody wants right now. But the problem with AI is that right now it's pulling from an entire universe of information and it doesn't really know yet what to do with that or how to process that. So people are getting what are called hallucinations. They're getting garbage answers with really high confidence. Right?
Yeah, you said it on stage today. It's like a 4-year-old with a confident answer. You're like, damn.
Right.
Maybe you're right.
Yeah. I mean, and that was actually our partner Jared's analogy is he's like, it's like my 4-year-old where he knows a bunch of words and he knows a bunch of concepts, but he doesn't know how to apply those words or concepts appropriately to real life situations. And AI is the same way until it's trained. And it's got to be trained by people you trust. Right. And it's got to be trained on information that you trust. And so the model is to pull in limited information that we already know is verified. So for example, our securities bot, I have an AI bot that's built for me. It's only trained on things that the SEC says or that I say. It's not the whole world.
Yeah, don't put anything that I say in that.
But your bot will be trained on things that you say.
We don't want that. Nobody wants that.
Well, there's and I'm not really supposed to go on a tangent here. I'm not going to look at Susie right now. She'll still smile, but she's going to be like,
she's smiling.
Yeah, she's going to smile.
I see her upper and lower teeth. That means the smile is at a level 10.
It's a big smile. One of the things that I'm so excited about that it can do in the future. Now, I really just wanted a platform for everybody to get together and we can match passive investors and active investors, and we can keep everything confined so that I can monitor whether everybody's safe. Right.
So you're basically telling me that the question of where do I find private money, where do I find investors, is going to be answered with your platform.
On Verity, yeah.
On Verity. That's one of the most commonly typed in things on YouTube in the real estate space. Like of course we are on YouTube, so we're wondering, what are people looking for? So common, people are looking for, how do I raise private money? Where do private money lenders look like or come from? Do private money lenders have a unicorn horn? Because I don't know who these private money lenders are. You're telling me Verity is going to solve that massive problem for investors.
Yeah, and in fact, I'll give you for the show notes a QR code if you can join the wait list to be on the platform.
Dang. Susie, do you approve of that? Wes, do you have a question?
You want the code?
Okay. Wes is like, I want the code. If you're trying to raise capital in this business, this is something that's like, why wasn't this out 10 years ago? Well, the technology didn't exist. And Bethany hadn't figured it out. We hadn't figured out. Jared, you're also another silver fox, bro.
Yeah, man. I started getting gray hair at 18.
Oh, how'd you keep the girls off of you, man?
I'm committed.
Okay, that's it. That's it. I love it. Bethany LaFlam, your Instagram is
Bethany_LaFlam.
somebody
It's got the blue check
stole.
mark. Someone did, so I've got the blue check mark. So it's Bethany LaFlam.
Okay, if they don't have the blue check, they're lying. Okay, they're not a securities coach.
Yeah, I paid for my identity.
Good, I love it. So, guys, she's one of my favorite people. I hire her. We send her checks because we appreciate her invoices, because I've learned millions of dollars of value from just small little invoices she charges me. If you guys haven't hired her, then what are you doing? It was 3 years ago. I was like, where should I go to get a good securities attorney? And it wasn't until Brandon Turner put me on to you guys.
Yeah,
I mean, you got a lot of amazing clients.
We do. It's so fun. It is so fun.
It's like all your homies. You get to hang out with all your friends.
I know. That's why that's why I love my job. It's so fun.
Well, we enjoyed hanging out with her, guys. Go down in the description below. You'll get Susie's Instagram. You'll get Bethany's Instagram. You'll get Bethany's YouTube video, where I'm going to have Susie force her to put one of these fun-to-fun calls on her YouTube channel, so people can go look for that.
Well, real quick though, I do a free every single Wednesday at 1:30 Pacific, a free 30-minute Zoom specifically about funds and fund to fund, so people can come ask questions every single week.
Where we can put the link in the description. Guys, my gosh, thank Bethany. Have an attitude of gratitude. Hey, I have a question for you. Who has the keys to the Jeep?
Vroom.
Boom!